Hello and welcome to Who We, the unofficial Doctor Who watch along podcast. This is going to be slightly different from our typical Doctor Who watch along. Usually we record an episode about the classic show. Right now we are currently on the Invasion of Time, and usually my co-host Ben is here with me. But this week is a little bit different. As you could probably tell by the title, this episode is going to be off of the new series, the new series, I should say, of the Disney Plus iteration of the show, the Russell T Davies 2 iteration. Recording this right after Reality War just dropped today. Couple hours passed now since it came out, and I just thought, hey, I have thoughts. Let's record those thoughts and post it to Whoviewed. So if you are a first-time viewer, please join us. Like I said, we're currently in the Invasion of Time. But for now, this is just going to be basically my unedited, just rant about my thoughts about just the series overall, and then the Reality War in particular. So where to start? Basically, to give you some background, I liked the first season. Did not love it. I thought that the first episode and last episode were definitely the two weakest out of the bunch. It kind of ended really, really badly. I thought Space Babies was just unwatchable almost. Very much Russell trying to do his camp shtick in the 2024 setting, and then as well as just him doing one of his finales, but with Sutek, and it was just, it was awful. And also, it was just an awful conclusion to Sutek. It was also an awful conclusion to the Ruby storyline. I was very disappointed in it. But I did like a couple of those middle episodes, like Boom and 74 Yards and the Dot and Bubble. And Rogue. Rogue was fine. I wasn't the biggest fan of Rogue, but it was fun. Love Jonathan Groff. Big Mindhunter fan. Shout out Mindhunter. And then we got the last Christmas special. I was rough on that. That was not great. But then we got this new season, and I actually really liked this new season. Belinda, I think, is a good companion. I really liked her dynamic with Shooty, that she was kind of a companion that didn't want to be on the TARDIS set. We haven't had that in the new series. So I thought that was very refreshing. I thought that she was played brilliantly by Sethu. And I thought that it was a great dynamic with Shooty, with just being such a high energy, just loving doctor, having somebody that doesn't love being there. I thought that was a great dynamic. And we got some great episodes like The Well and Lux. But then we got this past one, Wishworld and Reality War. I know some people were down on Interstellar Contest. I liked that episode. I thought that actually was just fun. Not the greatest episode, of course, but it was fun. But yeah, Reality War in Wishworld, it was a disappointment. Like, I think you can make a case that this is even more of a disappointment than the last season, the Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire Death. Like, it was rough. So let's get into it. So what was wrong this episode? I think that one of the main things that was wrong with it is it was kind of just, Russell had these big ideas, and Russell always has these big ideas, right? Of just, okay, we're gonna do this kind of 1950s-esque world, and I'm going to play with that type of science fiction, kind of something like a Ray Bradbury story or like Twilight Zone-esque. I know people were talking about Stepford Wives. I think a modern version of that could be the terrible movie Don't Worry Darling. Very similar to that. I actually enjoyed that aspect of the episode. But then you have the downsides of that episode, which is just the lore dump of the Rani, and then basically it was just the lore dump of the Rani, and just the exposition scene was just plain awful. But I was kind of still thinking maybe Reality War could be good, maybe. Yeah, it wasn't. It was kind of the worst aspect of Russell's finales to a T. None of the good stuff was there. I was just so disappointed in it. I think that Russell as a writer is better than this. We saw literally this season with episodes like Lux that Russell is better than this. And of course, outside of Doctor Who, his work on It's a Sin and Years are just fantastic. So it's just weird that he's just declined so much in quality. This episode. And then you had like the focus on Poppy this episode, of course, and it's so weird that emphasis on Poppy, because I as a viewer, I don't care about Poppy. I think that's one of the main problems with this episode is that like maybe if I cared about Poppy, I would care more about the stakes that Poppy was gonna die. But I also knew in the back of my head like, well, Poppy isn't real. But also there's that other aspect to it the whole time like, but how does this connect to Space Babies? And they never really answered that of why is this the same Poppy from Space Babies? In like, even though Millie Gibson does bring it up at a point, and then Judy even brings it up at a point, it's never referred to more than just oh yeah, that is there, but we're not going to explain why that is there. And that's a big criticism you could say about this whole episode, is that Russell doesn't care. Russell just writes. And unlike Russell T Davies' one era where he had the strong characters back it up, I don't think that the characters aren't there this episode. Like Belinda, like I said, like I enjoyed her this season. I enjoyed her dynamic with the Doctor, but in these past two episodes, in particular, Reality War, she is just, her character is just absent in this. Like everything that she was is just gone. I feel so bad for Sethu. Like she's just a blank canvas of like, everything about her character is gone, and all she cares about is this baby. But again, I don't care about, because again, I know it's not real. And also, I'm just thinking about the back of my head of how does this fit into Space Babies, which of course is never answered. But then you have the Ronnie there, and the Ronnie's just goal is to get Omega back. And then, like, as a Classic Who fan, you can watch a third Doctor episode. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go, Omega. He's coming back finally. After all these years, everyone's been saying, oh, bring back the Ronnie, bring back Omega. Russell's doing it at once. And then he brings it back, and then all of a sudden, he brings back Omega. People always were joking about he's going to bring back Omega like Sutek as a giant dog. He basically does that the same thing. It's a giant like skull creature thing. Awful. Awful. And then, of course, they kill the main Ronnie. The actress's name escapes me, who was great this episode. I think that she gave a great performance, and I think that she could have been a great Ronnie if she was actually given a good script. But she wasn't given a good script. But she just dies immediately. Miss Flood just disappears. And then, like, even just... Again, I'm sorry. This is just going to be more of a rant-style video, but just the fact of... That's the setup these past two seasons of just Miss Flood and her just being the background and just being the neighbors for both Ruby and Belinda. And then we mention it again. We mention it this episode, but we never really explains it. Of just like, he explains it somewhat. It was just like, yeah, we're keeping track of your Doctor, but why and how? Like, you were like, oh yeah, we're gonna always find this girl. It's like, but why that? Why that girl? Did you set anything up in that? Like, it's not like a messy situation where she set up Clara and the Doctor. Nope, it's nothing like that, or at least it's never explained. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, but where else to go from here? Ronnie, disappointment. Such a big disappointment. And then Omega just being Sutek'd. Even more so, because it's like at least Sutek has a little bit more screen time. They brought back Gabriel Wolf, and this one, it's like I haven't even looked up who's the actor, but like I have to guess he does a fine job. But just that design's horrendous. It's not Omega. Omega has that great design in Three Doctors. I'm not a big fan of the Akinferi design, but that Three Doctors design is fantastic. You could have done a modern update of that design, but instead, no, we're gonna do this really boring ass gigantic skeleton baby-esque thing. And he's just going to kill Omega instantly? Not Omega. He's going to kill the Ronnie instantly? and then the Doctor's just gonna defeat him in 2 seconds. Like the fact that Omega only gets like you have 2 episodes, not 2 episodes. It's really only like a half episode setting up Omega. Here was a whole week of waiting for Omega, and the payoff is just 2 minutes of basically who is something that is not Omega. It's like, as a fan, I don't know what you expect me to get out of this, except for, oh yeah, Omega. That's not Omega though. Like that's all I'm thinking in the back of my mind. It was just like, God, I knew it would have been great if they actually brought back Omega and like it was an actual character. Like, but then if that was the case, I probably wouldn't bring back the Ronnie. It honestly probably would be better if Miss Flood was working with Omega, and like Miss Flood is not the Ronnie and opens the portal to Omega, and then we get Omega the whole episode of Reality Award. That could have been interesting, but we don't get that. We don't get that at all. Yeah, but it's just so aggravating because it would have been so cool to finally get Omega in Doctor Who and New Who. Like we've been waiting for that since like Series 6. I remember people were talking about that for the church, that the Omega was going to be a part of the church because there was like an Omega symbol in Good Man Goes to War. But no, nothing like that. Nothing like that. Instead, he's just a skeleton baby man. And it just reeks of just fan service in a way that I never really felt in Russell T Davies' one era of just like, I always felt in that era, which of course, if you're not aware, is the era of the 9th Doctor and 10th Doctor. If you got this long in this video and don't know that, I'm shocked. It's just, it never felt like that when you bring back the Daleks, you bring back the Cybermen, he set that up. The Master he doesn't have to set up, but he kind of sets it up in Utopia, but like it has that payoff of viewers that don't even care about classic Doctor Who of just, oh my God, this is another Time Lord. That's a setup. I mean, that is intriguing for a new viewer. And then as well as the Gustavus being the creator of the Daleks. Oh my God. But with this new series, it's just like, who gives a fuck about Sutek and Omega? Like you killing the audience of people that want to watch the show that are just casual fans. It's why the viewing figures are just dropping, and why probably Disney's going to drop the show after this. And then of course you got the ending, which is another reason for that. But yeah, it's such a disappointment. And then again, going back to Poppy, it's like that's a big focus on this episode, and I just don't understand why. And the whole entire time I was just thinking, oh my God, it's going to be revealed that it's Susan. And like Susan's such another one because why? Why did you set up Susan in Interstellar Song Contest and not bring her back? If you're only going to use Caroline Ford for that little moment, it's such a disappointment. And it's also such a disappointment that you start that journey off with Judy Gott was Doctor and don't finish it with his Doctor. Yeah, it's such a disappointment. And also, it's just like, just talking about logistics here, it's just like, Caroline Ford is pretty old at this point. So who knows if we're ever going to even get we're ever going to get that resolved in a satisfying way. Like, and then you have the fact that we also have the lady from Joy of the World, which I thought that she was the best thing about that. The hotel manager lady. She was great in that story, but like I don't understand why she came back this story. Because again, if you're a viewer that only am watching the finale, like that just is so confusing. And like I get it, like yeah, you can bring back stuff, but like I felt like that was a little bit too far of just why are we doing this now? Yeah, and like what else to talk about? Yeah, and then you have Ruby there. Ruby's just there. Ruby, I like the stuff with Ruby and Conrad, and I do like the conclusion of Conrad's story that she gave Conrad's used the last wish on Conrad to give him a good life, and he got a good life, and like I like that aspect of the story. I thought that was probably the best resolution of the whole story, because going to Ruby, her resolution of the story is just nothing. She just kind of just tells the doctor, you got to save Poppy, and then he just runs away. And then we get an ending to Belinda. Now Belinda has a baby now that's not the doctor's baby. It's just now her baby that she's been going to back to this whole entire time. Which I guess, okay, fine. But just no resolution for Ruby's character. Any of the questions that maybe somebody will still have after Church of Ruby Road, not Church of Ruby Road, sorry, Empire of Death. It's nope, we're not gonna answer them. Nope, it's just Poppy. Yep. Yeah, but like, of course, there's always that thing also to this episode that's kind of has to be addressed, is that all of it leaked. All this whole season leaked. This whole era leaked, basically. It leaked that not Russell T is coming back. That didn't leak. That was the only thing that didn't leak this whole era. But Dare Tennant was coming back, leaked. Of course, a lot of people didn't really take that seriously. Of course, that was actually serious. Kind of like another Doctor that was leaked. And then of course it was leaked. The whole ending of the girl leaked. All the Church on Ruby Road leaked. What else leaked? And then the all of season 2 leaked. The fact that the well was Midnight sequel. The fact that the 13th Doctor was going to be in this. The fact that Trudy was going to leave this episode. The fact that the Miss Flood was the Ronnie, which of course she was, but still leaked. We didn't know that in particular. But still, I'm kind of disappointed that they never really mentioned that Miss Flood, the Ronnie, Rain. Nope, never. Not gonna even mention that. Thank God they did it, because that would have been terrible. That would have been embarrassing. That would have been another Susan Twist type of thing. But yeah, I think I should just get to the main thing that just rubbed me the wrong way, and I think it's the jump to the shock moment, and you know what it is. It's Billie Piper is the new Doctor, which, yeah, that's rough. That is just pure rough. I don't understand why you would do that. I kind of think that. Well, I understand why you would do it. You would do it to get viewers into it, but you already just brought back David Tennant and Catherine Tate, so that's kind of muted and not as powerful as it would have been if you didn't do that already. But now you have Billie Piper coming back to the show as the Doctor this time. Yeah, it's not rubbing me the wrong way. I mean, it's not rubbing me the right way. It's rubbing me the wrong way. It just feels like desperation. I kind of think that maybe this could have been a possibility of maybe because Shooty goes and tells Russell and the producers, hey, the show's kind of in the status of limbo. We don't know what's going to happen. I got things I need to do or want to do. I'm being offers. I want to take my career to the next level that Doctor Who has allowed me to. So now I want to do that. I want to take these opportunities, and I want to take these opportunities and not be held to doing Doctor Who in X amount of years from now that we do not know a certain plan. I want to be able to freely book, and it's like, okay, I can understand. So then they shot the finale. Probably it would have ended with probably that scene at Unit where Ruby was trying to convince the Doctor about Poppy was real and stuff like that. Of course, there's that promo on Disney Plus, I think, of just the Doctor and Ruby dancing in a club. So it's kind of that thing of maybe there would have been something there to the story, but I would imagine maybe the series would have ended with the Doctor going to save Poppy, and that would have been the setup for the next season. But nope. He saves Poppy by killing himself. This is the first Doctor that regenerates by killing himself, which is very strange. And then, of course, now we get also the 13th Doctor in it, which is fine. I thought that it was nice seeing Jodie again, but also not needed. Not needed at all. I would have loved it if maybe we had an actual multi-Doctor story with Jodie in 13. But no, I did really love the scene though. He tells Yaz to say I love you, but she knows. That was nice. But also, it's just like it showed that was one of my main problems with that era. But yeah, Billy. Going back to Billie Piper, I went on a deep a turn there, but Billie Piper is the Doctor. Yeah, I mean, this leaked, and I was one of those people that went like, "No, that's fake. That's fake. That's not real." And of course, it's real. But my hope is that maybe because Shooty said, "Yep, I want to go. I've been getting offers. I have this whole career that I want to start. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this." I'm kind of hoping that Billie Piper was a call that Russell T Davies made, and this is kind of their plan is for Billie Piper to be the Doctor for a special or two or maybe three, and shoot that maybe next year, and then we get a new season of Doctor Who, very similar to David Tennant. That we just brief moment of Billie Piper playing the Doctor. I would take that, but for getting a whole season or with the possibility of multiple seasons with Billie Piper as the Doctor, that would just be so disappointing and such a letdown. I am hoping that it's kind of weird to be hoping this, but I really am hoping that at the end of the day that this is just going to be a 1 or 2 episode Doctor, and that. But of course, there's also that theory of just who maybe she is the Doctor, maybe she is the moment, or maybe she is there's something Bad Wolf related on there because of course she's like the time vortex. While she looked in the heart of the TARDIS, maybe there's something there that because Shooty put the regeneration energy into the heart of the TARDIS, that to find Poppy, maybe there's something there that made it so that Bad Wolf comes back. But I don't know. It seemed like she was the Doctor at the end of that story. But of course, she didn't have the tagline of introducing Billie Piper as the Doctor, so that leads to a lot of people to kind of cope and saying maybe she isn't the Doctor. I think she's the Doctor, which is a disappointment. My God, it's a disappointment. But yeah, it's such a shame because I really liked this season. I enjoyed almost every episode up until Reality War. No, sorry, up until Wish World and Reality War. It's such a bummer, and it's such a bad taste to leave a viewer at the end of a season, especially we're on the possibility of a hiatus, and to end it like this. I'm just hoping that again that Billie's gonna be short, and then we're going to get after this a new Doctor, just a brand new Doctor that we no establishment history. But who knows with Russell, because Russell says, okay, we got to rehire Russell Trovey. Have him be in the gang again, because, there's not another 100,000 actors in Britain to choose from. No. We gotta stick to our core demographic here. But yeah. What else to talk about? Yeah, it's the jump the shock moment of the show. I don't know how you can recover from this of just a former companion. And I love Rose. I am a Russell T Davies 1 fan, even stan. That is my era of the show. I love Rose. She's probably not my favorite companion, but probably have the most emotional connection to Rose. Like, I'm that demographic of kid that watched it growing up, and yeah, even if I stopped watching the show, this would definitely make me curious to go back to it. I guess that's why they did it. But as a fan of the show, I'm like, I kind of want to be done with the show now. I never felt that way about Doctor Who ever. But this casting just doesn't do anything for me. It does do something for me. It makes me legitimately disappointed in it. You could have picked anyone, but I guess in some ways you can't pick anyone just because you're hiring an actor and they have to accept the unknown. I guess that's why they probably went with Billie, just because Billie agreed to the unknown aspect of this casting of just who knows what's going to happen with the show. This could be a show that comes back in 2027. This could be a show that comes back in 2028. It could be in the 2030s by the time that show gets back. Which is why, of course, Shruti didn't stay. But doing this, I think I would have maybe even preferred the alternative of Shruti regenerating and ending on the cliffhanger of the regeneration. We kind of talked about that on an episode of Who Would, of just like the possibility of that. I think I would have preferred that over this, to be honest. Just because this casting just doesn't do anything for me. That's not the Doctor. That's Rose. It's gonna be hard to even watch it and to be like, that's the Doctor, because the whole entire time you're gonna go, no, that's Rose Tyler. Especially since the Rose Tyler was already talking like the Doctor at points. And then, like, how are you going to acknowledge this in the show? Is she going to acknowledge that she has Rose? If she is playing the Doctor, are they going to acknowledge that she has Rose's face? And, like, does she have Rose's face? And what's the purpose of this? And what's the storyline to this? Is that going to be a storyline, unlike David Tennant's face and just being a thing and not really going back to that? One day, I will make more edited video essay content about the Russell T Davies One Era as a whole. I want to do the 60th anniversary specials. I should get on that soon. And then do season 1 and then do season 2, an actual, like, not rant style video, but more heavily edited video essay style video. But this is kind of just more of a rant of 20 to 30 minutes of me just speaking from the gut of just how I feel. And what I feel is not good. Not good at all. Of course, we did get a little teaser of war between the land and the sea, and it's fine, I guess. Like, it looks, I think, pretty good. I don't like the Silent and Sea Devils. They look not like the Sea Devils. I think that's a big disappointment, but I understand that other aspect of it, that you have to have somewhat of a design that the actors can actually be in. But instead, it's like, no, that's not a Sea Devil. And also, I think it's gonna be so weird because I feel like with this modern version of Unit, I feel like this whole era of the show kind of has this like non-grit to it. There's not a reality to Russell T Davies 2 era of the show. It feels very cartoony, and I feel it, and especially with Unit, with Unit Tower, and then like Sergeant Abraham or Ibrahim. I think it's Ibrahim. Like these don't feel like real people and real characters. So putting it more into a drama setting, I don't know how that works out. We will see. I'm kind of more looking forward to that than season 3. If we're gonna go to season 3, my hope is gonna be that maybe we'll get a special next year or the year after that, and then we will get another full-on season of the show. Because it will be a disappointment if we just are left on Billie Piper as the Doctor for enough time that it doesn't get resolved. That Billie's like, no, screw that. I'm gonna go off and do this other thing. But who knows? I have no idea what Billie Piper is doing nowadays. Especially as an American. No idea. Yeah, but I think that's gonna be it for this episode. This rant. If you didn't like this content, I'm sorry. We will be back to our regular programming next week. I just thought this was needed just to get it off my chest. And I hope that maybe some of you that are watching this as well or listening to this is this is kind of it feels good for you too, just to be able to be like, okay, we're in this, we're recovering from this together. So yeah, join us next week. Next week is going to be the start of the Invasion Time Reboss operation. So join us for that. Another period of Doctor Who that's not the best. And yeah, thank you so much. Please remember to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow us on podcast services around the globe. And yeah, peace out, everyone.